Good evening and welcome. I'm your host Jonathan. I'm with my co-host Lee, and you're watching the LFC crew. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have an absolute sizzling show for you. We have a Liverpool legend on our show as our guest. But before we continue, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. This is how we're going to get guests like this on again in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I present to you. Welcome, John Barnes. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well. I'm missing South Africa. I need to come back and start doing some more work for Supersport.
You need to.
Yes.
Miss Camps Bay, House Bay, all over. So I'll
Yes.
come back.
So yes, we still have you on the Champions League Supersport channels, but I don't think they have those Supersport channel sessions anymore. They have BT Sport doing that now on DSTV.
No, you got to bring back Supersport. Me and Sammy want to come back.
Yes, we really love that. We really love it. And but John, once again, thank you for coming on our show. We just would like to discuss some things with you. The current state of Liverpool Football Club. Some people think that there's a major crisis at Liverpool, but me and Lee, we are of the opinion it's not as bad as people in the media are making it out to be. Yes, there's injuries, there's bad form, but this is still a group of champions. These are a group of winners. And it's not like some media outlets suggest that major overhauls needs to be needed. Liverpool need to do this, they need to do that. It's not as bad. That's from our point of view. But we would like to know from your side, what's your opinion at the current state of the Liverpool team?
It's simple. The crisis is the injuries. It's as simple as that. Injuries to key players, meaning that other players have to play out of position. And the way Liverpool play, it's a homogenized way of playing, meaning that it is all interrelated. So if one or two players aren't playing, then it upsets the way we play. Because for the last 3 years, if you think about the way we've been playing, we've had a template of the way we play. Since Van Dijk has been in there, he has settled down whoever plays alongside him. It could be Gomez, it could be Matip. So if you look at our defensive situation in the last 2 years, we've been fine. Now, once that's changed, whereby you don't have Gomez and Van Dijk, you've had to play two of your most influential midfield players in that position, Matip and Henderson. When you play Matip and Henderson in that position, you have a different template and a type of a midfield player. You have a better midfield player on the ball in Thiago, but he doesn't press and close down as much as Fabinho or Henderson, which then affects the front three closing down. So the front three, when you play a game, you have our front three closing down. You're talking about high up the field, pressing. The only way you can press is if you know that when you press as a front three, the midfield players are going to press behind you. And not only are they going to press behind you, they're not going to lose the ball. They're going to win the ball. Whereas if you're a front three person and you go and press and you know when the ball's played past you, that even if our midfield, if it's Shaqiri or Thiago presses, they're going to play around them, then you are loath to press. So therefore the front three doesn't press. Now, our most creative players have been the front three in terms of scoring goals, yes, and attacking with intensity, but the fullbacks. So you look at Trent Alexander and you look at Andy Robertson. The fullbacks can go with full conviction because they know when we go both at the same time, which is unique in the world of football. When you have fullbacks playing in a back five with three centre-backs, both fullbacks can attack. We've got three defenders. When you only have four defenders, very rarely do you see two fullbacks going at the same time because you only have two defenders. The reason they can do that is because of Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho, Milner, that type of midfield player who then, when both of them go forward, if they get caught out of position because both of them are high off the field, you know that those midfield players are going to work behind you to then cover to even chase all the way back. Now, the amount of times we've seen it today, and as I said, I love Thiago. I think he's a great player. But you can see defensively, when teams are running at us, they run past him. So just for the very fact that you're talking about missing one or two defenders, it's not just about missing those defenders. It then upsets the midfield. So then the midfield players play in that position. And a different type of midfielder play comes in. Thiago and Shaqiri are probably better technicians in terms of being on the ball, or even Curtis Jones, than the other three. But what the other three give us is they give us that stability to allow the fullbacks to attack, the front three to press. And secondly, I've always said, Thiago is a great player. I think Thiago is a fantastic player. I think Thiago, the way he plays, would suit Manchester City more than he suits us. He plays a lot of short passes,
Yeah.
intricate passes, wants possession all the time. That is how Manchester City play. How we play is that third or second goal we scored against West Ham. We're from their corner, one ball, out wide, one cross. That's how we play. Because Mane and Salah are not the real technical strikers who play in tight areas. They need space to run into. And when they're dynamic, that's what they do. Firmino plays a bit differently. And that is why Firmino, for me, I'm glad he played the other day and scored and did well. Because he is the reason, which people don't understand or appreciate, why Salah and Mane score all those goals. We had Robert Lewandowski. Mane and Salah would not score that many goals. Because Lewandowski would score the goals because he'll be the centre forward who is not vacating that position for them to make diagonal runs in to score. All they'll be doing is running down the line and put crosses in. So they won't score as many goals. So if you talk about, let's get a centre forward who scores goals, Mane and Salah will score less goals. So the way we've had it the last 2 years has been perfect. We've been scoring goals, we've been playing well, we've been pressing, we've played with an understanding. Now we have a different way of playing because of the personnel. So we have to get used to it. So once we get used, but even if we get used to it, unfortunately, until we get, because we're playing a high press game, you cannot play a high press when you're not confident in your two centre backs, because they haven't got that pace to then, and of course we did it against Sheffield United, but you can see against other teams. Or if you had those two centre backs, but you had three hard-working midfield players who are going to help them defensively, Fabinho and Henderson were in there, then you could get away with it. But you can't put those two midfield players at the back, bring in better, so-called better players technically, you know, with with Thiago and even Curtis Jones, but then defensively, intensity, we're not going to be able to win the ball back. So it's a simple conundrum for me. Get the defenders back, get the players in the right positions, and we'll be fine.
Okay, that's interesting with the high press. Lee and myself, at the beginning of the season, we spoke about that. If Van Dijk gets injured, because Van Dijk and Gomez are the players that has the pace. So the high line that we defend with is better suited to their game. So if other defenders step in, and then we're a bit slow on the recovery. But Lee, have the second question there for you.
I would just like to know, John, the Cara said that Liverpool, what do they need to do basically to improve?
Well, once again, until we get our injury situation sorted out to our key players, there's not a lot we can do. Because January, we weren't able to buy, as no one is, the best defenders in the world to help us. So we have to work with what we've got. So therefore, if you're going to have Phillips, even if you're going to play Fabinho back there or Henderson, they're not centre-backs. So therefore, they're not going to be like Van Dijk and Gomez. And that's going to affect the midfield. Now, we're talking about the front three not pressing as much. The front three can't press because they don't have the security of knowing that the midfield three behind them are going to win the ball when they press. If you press as a front three and the ball gets played past you, then it gets played past the midfield, Thiago or Shaqiri or whoever is there. You then have to run 50 yards back. So all you're doing is running forward and running back. Whereas in the old days, when they pressed high up the field, the midfield players won the ball. They didn't have to run back. So when you're talking about improving, for me, it's a simple personnel problem. Once we get our personnel back, we will improve. What we can do is I still think we'll finish second, mainly because nobody else is being consistent. Manchester City will, and they'll win the league. But if you look at Arsenal, you look at Tottenham, you look at Chelsea, Manchester United, they're all being inconsistent as we are. But I know that if everybody stays together and have that belief, we can put a run together to win matches, which I expect us to do. Because we haven't been playing badly. Alisson's made a couple of mistakes. Defenders have made a couple of mistakes. But in terms of the way we've actually played, even against Man City, even against Man United, is we have done all right, but mistakes has cost us. We're not going to keep making mistakes. Alisson is going to keep making mistakes. We will get better, so we'll be okay. But we're not going to be the team that we were last year, mainly, simply, and only because of the injury situation we have. We are not a team like Manchester City. Manchester City can leave 5 players out, bring 5 players in, and they play the same way. We need our best 13 players to perform. If you're missing 3 or 4 of them, we don't have anything underneath that to come in to maintain our consistency. Origi can come and play now and again. That's Shaqiri. Jota could, but Jota is injured. And we haven't got the defensive backup to supplement that. So it's just a question of numbers.
Yeah.
And also, one last thing. Do you also think, as we spoke now about the improvement, do you think we need to maybe tweak the formation a bit or keep it as is?
Well, if you look at what we've done in the last 3 years in terms of the way we've played, so then all of a sudden to change the way you play and expect it to work like that, even bringing Thiago in, because it means we have changed the way we played, it isn't automatically going to work. So I think you're right. With the personnel we have, we're going to have to change the way we play slightly. But in changing the way we play slightly, is that going to suit Mane's, Firmino, Salah, could have been used to playing one way. And the way we've played has suited them. So they're going to have to do something which they haven't done before in 3 years where they've got success, which is we're going to have to do that because we haven't got a choice, which means that we won't be as consistent and as fluent and as cohesive as we have been. But there's not a lot we can do about that because of the personnel. So yes, we're going to have to change the way and we have. So we're not pressing as high up all the time. If you look at the way we're actually playing, that's because of the personnel. And of course, when fans are getting disappointed and feeling it's complacency, no, it's not. Players aren't happy. Yes, they are. Jurgen Klopp still has complete control. It's just as simple as we haven't got the personnel.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly, because if you look at Liverpool in the past under Jurgen Klopp's reign in the cup competitions, which is, you can actually say it's similar to the injury crisis, because when we play in the league, in the Champions League, if Klopp changes one person in the team, that person does the exact same job and the team plays the same. But in the cup games, if we rotate 5 players out, then we lose. It's currently like the situation that we're in at the moment. So that's why I have complete faith in the team, and we just have to wait for these guys to come back. But John, I wanted to ask you with regards to transfers. Look, Liverpool, we're not a spend. We spend, but they will only spend when necessary. The necessary signings is Van Dijk and Alisson, but they don't buy players with big names. They big for transfer fees. We buy more players that suit our system, guys that work hard. In your opinion, what is that the way that Liverpool should handle their transfer business still, or should they start spending, get some big names in, or how do you build, as they say, on
Well, first of all, you have to look at the character of the big names you want to get in. And if Jurgen Klopp feels that the characters are going to be good enough to come and good enough characters, not good enough players, meaning that they're going to come and be humble, respect the team, whatever you may think of Mo Salah isn't more important than Trent Alexander. He doesn't see himself that way. The team doesn't see him that way. And that is what the humility is necessary for the team to be a real team. So in the past, we weren't able to get the players because Liverpool weren't at a stage where you could get the Kylian Mbappes and the best players in the world, which is why they got Salah and Mane. Because if Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Man United wanted them, they would have gone there instead of Liverpool. However, at that stage of their career, they weren't the players that they are now. Well, they had the potential, but Jurgen Klopp has made them. And this is why I say to all of those players, be it Salah, Mane, any of those players, if you feel now that you think you can go to a club, Real Madrid, Barcelona, because you feel that Liverpool aren't doing what they're doing, you will not do as well at those clubs as you do at Liverpool. Because the way Liverpool play suits you. The way Barcelona play does not suit Salah, does not suit Mane. They won't score those goals, I can tell you, because Salah was never a goal scorer. And in fact, if you analyze how many goals Mane and Salah score, and they score a lot of goals, but how many chances do they get? They get so many chances because of the way we play. They don't finish 1 and 2 chances. They have 4 or 5 chances and they score. But if you go to a club who aren't going to be as attacking and create so many chances, you will score less goals. He's not a Harry Kane, Lewandowski. They are goal scorers. Number 9, Jamie Vardy's. They aren't. But the way Liverpool play has helped them to do that. So if they feel, I'm going to go as a superstar to Barcelona, I'm going to be the best player like Messi. No, you won't. The way Liverpool play suits you. So the first thing is that the way Jurgen Klopp wants to play, you don't need to be the best players in the world. Look at Fabinho. Fabinho came from Monaco. Big club didn't want him, but Jurgen Klopp knew I can utilize him with what I want. Fabinho then going to Juventus or Real Madrid wouldn't be the same player. So what players do we actually get? Now, it's a question first and foremost of the character of the players. But Liverpool are now at the stage where 3 years ago they couldn't get the best in the world. That's why they got these players, made them the best in the world. Not the best in the world, they're the best for Liverpool. And the way Liverpool play suits them. They won't do this at other clubs. But Liverpool are now at the stage whereby any top player in the world would then say, I'm coming to Liverpool. But that all depends on, Jurgen Klopp doesn't like big squads. Because in 2021, where players are very powerful, they earn lots of money. If you have a big squad and some players are unhappy because they're not playing and they're a superstar, then if things don't go well and you start to lose matches, they can become disruptive. They can upset the apple cart. So that's why he doesn't like lots of superstars in the team. And I don't think he'll ever do that. However, you have to be cognizant and understand that players may move on. Salah may move on at the end of the season. We don't know. Mane, because other people now want them. So then you're going to have to replace them. Jota coming in, I think, is a great signing, because if anyone goes, Jota can come and fill in. But I think we're in a healthy place now. The problem we have for this season is that you can't sign anyone till the end of the season, so no one can come and help us. We couldn't sign anyone in January. It's the pandemic. No one's spending money. All the top players of Champions League club, they're not going to leave their clubs. So that's why we couldn't make any signings. So unfortunately, we're going to just have to work with what we have this season. Then next season, depending on whether people, well, Wijnaldum looks like he's going to go, so therefore Milner is getting old, so you look to replace them. So, but they're players you can replace. You know, the way Klopp plays, you can replace those players. It's just a question as when Salah or Mane go, that's when you may have an issue.
Yeah, like I really love Gini Wijnaldum because I told leaders many times. If I like watching him play because he just beats opposition press so easily. Three guys can be around him, he'll get out of it somehow. He's always cool under pressure. That's probably my favorite player. Paul Jordan Henderson.
But you know what football is? But you see, football. Gini Wijnaldum is happy at Liverpool. Gini Wijnaldum is coming up to 30. He wants to secure his future. Liverpool wanted to stay. They love him, but you can't. From football's perspective, if you have a player who wants a 3-year contract and he's 30, yeah. Now, he would want a particular salary for the 3 years. Now, if you give him a particular salary for 3 years, as much as Liverpool say, I'll give it to you for 2 years, because in the third year, you're going to be 33, you may not be playing, but you're on a lot of money, and that's going to take up a salary for maybe a 24-year-old we could get. So it's not that Liverpool are being disrespectful, and they don't like him, they don't want him to stay. He also has to look out to his future and say, well, if I can get a 3-year contract somewhere else to give me that money, that's what I'm going to do. So a lot of people are thinking Liverpool should just give him what they want. The problem with that is that if you give players what they want, then next 2 years, he's not, well, 2 years' time, he's 32, he's not doing as well. You can't get a 24-year-old superstar because you haven't got a salary for it because he's taking up another salary. So therefore, you know, so in situations, so what I say about these players is the club and the players will decide whether they're going to stay or not. But while you're at the club, you work hard for the club, you're disciplined, you don't undermine the manager, and none of them do. Wijnaldum has not. He's worked hard for the club, knowing that he's probably going to leave, and that's all he can ask of players.
Yeah, simply lovely guy.
I think you made a nice point as well as players when they want to leave. A perfect example was actually Coutinho when he wanted to leave and fitting within Barcelona. His style, it was made for Liverpool. When he went to Barcelona, he was simply just out. He just couldn't perform, and he was looking like an average player.
You know what it was? It wasn't necessarily his style because his style suits Barcelona, but he will play second fiddle to Messi. At Liverpool, he was a star player.
He was
and if you have a star player, give him the ball all the time. When he goes to Barcelona, if Messi is the star player and Messi is going to be the playmaker, the number 10, give him to him all the time, what is Coutinho doing? Coutinho can't be a bit part player. So there's no point having Coutinho with Messi because Messi is going to do what he does. Coutinho will just be a bit part player. It's good. You could have Wijnaldum with Messi because Wijnaldum is willing to work hard, give the ball to Messi to be the superstar.
Yeah.
When Messi retires, I think Coutinho could be a superstar at Barcelona if he goes back. Because then that will leave a role for a player like Coutinho. So it was just the wrong move for him. Any player like that, while Messi is at his peak of his power, or Ronaldo, I wouldn't go to any clubs that they're at. Because if you're that type of a player, you'll only play second fiddle.
Yeah. Look, it's exactly, I think a very good example is Klopp's Dortmund squad. Shinji Kagawa and Mario Götze, those guys were beasts in the Dortmund squad, but when they left for United and Bayern Munich, they were not the same players they were because they fitted that system that Klopp implemented at that time. Yeah.
And that's why Klopp picked players to fit the system, which is what every club wants. Man City do it as well. You know, when Man City buy players, and the thing about it is that's why there's no right or wrong in football. Because a lot of people, the purists, will tell you they'd rather have David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne. We had Jordan Henderson and Fabinho, and 99% of people would say no. We'd rather have Silva. We want the Champions League and the league. So there's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
You have to find the football that suits you. So, and Jordan Henderson cannot leave Liverpool and go to Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Man United, and be a top player because it just suits the way Liverpool plays. He hasn't improved since Jurgen Klopp came. Jurgen Klopp implemented a style to suit him. So, you know, I know I'm listening to people now saying Jordan Henderson, when they used to boo him 4 years ago, 5 years ago, now all of a sudden he's improved. He hasn't. It's just that the system and the style suits him.
Yes, that's why he's my favorite player. He stuck through everything. A lot of stuff people said against him, and now everything fits for him now, and now he's just shining. And we can see the character of the person himself, and that's why I love him so much. But on the injury side again, so we've discussed the situation at Liverpool. I think what fans don't understand is because a lot of people just say that injuries happens to every squad, right? Liverpool have had injuries. We know at all parts of the squad, from the strikers to the midfielders to the defenders. But our main injury concerns is our centre-back position. And what I think people don't understand the impact, especially if you don't watch Liverpool play, the impact at losing 3 senior centre back have on our squad. For the people that watching this, can you just explain how that type of injury has impacted this squad and why we're getting these type of performances now?
Well, first of all, the players who have more possession than anybody else are Van Dijk and Gomez. So therefore, they're the ones who are on the ball more than anyone else, which then allows the midfield players to play in a particular way. So we don't have a Thiago type of midfield player before, and it suited us. Thiago is a great player, don't get me wrong. But as I said, the fact that those two aren't there. Secondly, because of their pace, they can play as high up as they like. So Alisson, because he's used to those two, he will take his starting position off those two. When you've got two new centre-backs and Alisson isn't sure what they're going to do, Alisson then becomes unstable because he's not sure what the defenders are going to do. The fullbacks become unstable because the fullbacks aren't sure whether they have to go because they have to cover if it's going to be Phillips or whoever's playing there, even Fabinho or Henderson, because they haven't got the pace of a Van Dijk or the defensive capabilities. So it really affects the way the whole team plays. So as much as people think that's too simple, you're missing a couple of players, but in those key positions, and you've seen Barcelona, who are a great team with great players, if Messi doesn't play, or if Ronaldo didn't play at Real Madrid, you can see the problem. When you miss key players who really affects the way you play defensively, also attacking-wise, in terms of how it affects the front three, the midfield three, and the two fullbacks, just because those two centre-backs are missing, people underestimate how important that is.
Yeah. I think you touched on it as well. Because now we have two new centre-backs there, and the two fullbacks can't push up forward as much as they like because we can't expose them because they don't have the pace that they are.
Not only the centre-backs, also the midfield players. Because if you still had your three hard-working midfield players, the fullbacks could go, knowing if you lose the ball, Henderson, Milner, Wijnaldum, Fabinho will cover for us. Whereas now, I've seen it twice, and I'm not criticizing him at all because he has never played that way. You've seen Thiago trying to chase back when people are running. I think it was, I can't remember what game it was, but from the halfway line, he was trying to chase his player back. That's not what he does. Or Shaqiri, or Curtis Jones, who's a very good player, but he's not a defensive midfield player. So it really does affect the whole team in terms of the way they play. And then, confidence is the big factor. Because then when you're not winning matches and you're not playing well, confidence then plays a part, which means that you can see, you know, even Bobby Firmino, who's my favorite player, losing a bit of confidence when yesterday against Sheffield United, before he scored, when the goalkeeper made a good save from Wijnaldum, controlled it and he tried to square it for somebody to score it, he would have just shot. You know, he had one touch in front of the goal because he's lacking confidence. He's doing different things. So it was really just an unfortunate situation, all stemming from one incident, Virgil van Dijk getting injured in Gomez.
And John, do you think that this current Liverpool team, did they reach their peak already, or is there another level that they can reach?
Well, if you look at the age of the players, I mean, what level is there? You won the Champions League, you won the league. What other level is there? The only other level is
the championship.
Continue to do that. Retain the championship, that's another level. That's not another level, that's the same level. You know, you win the championship. And you're not going to win the championship by getting 100 points like they did before. So even that's not another level. The age that they're at, they're all at their peak. They can maintain that. However, the differences in football is that players come, players go. If this squad were in their mid-20s, early to mid-20s, and they were doing this, then you can say we can see that. But I think that if it's not going to be this year or next year, in the next 2 years, you're going to have to see Liverpool changing anyway because of the age of the players and the fact that players will move on. So those days of a team, unless you're a Man City and you've got more money than everybody else and you can always buy the best players, which Liverpool aren't going to do, those days of seeing one team dominating for years and years and years is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. Also, our front three, they are, for the majority of the season, they weren't on top form. There could be various reasons for that. I also think that if you have consistent injuries in the squad,
Salah is still top scorer in the Premier League.
Yes.
Top scorer, yeah.
That's why we're getting, that's actually the question I'm getting to, because we wanted to ask you, Mohamed Salah, right? The front three has been out of form and they haven't been firing like they used to, right? Why does Salah receive so much criticism, or why is he so underrated by so many of our own supporters and rival fans? But he's been top goal scorer for a lot of times and he scored plenty of goals. I mean, how many goals has he scored now for Liverpool since he's been there? I think it's over 100.
Yeah,
Why is he always so underrated by people?
Well, I don't think he's underrated by real Liverpool fans. And I'm very loath to criticize Liverpool fans when things come on Twitter and stuff like that, because are they really Liverpool fans? We don't know. The Liverpool fans who criticize him are fans who are fickle, and that's the way it is. You know, after what Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool have done, there's no way you can criticize him at all, even if we don't finish in the top 4 this season, mainly because of the injuries. But fans are fickle. They want more. I can't see. I don't know why. Or the same with Bobby Firmino, because in terms of what he gives the team, I was watching the game the other day against Sheffield United, and what fans like highlights. So when you see highlights, you see someone who scores a goal, or you see someone who does something good. What they don't see are the angles he takes up, the positions he takes up, the little simple 3 and 4 yard balls he plays at the right pace, at the right side, in the right positions, which people don't think that that's important. When he played a couple of the balls he played through 5 yards into Mohamed Salah's path, whereby other people would have passed it to his feet, which meant that he would have had to stop and then start to dribble. Don't appreciate. So he is the most intelligent player Liverpool has. And he's been showing it, even though he hasn't been doing particularly well.
Yeah.
So these are the complexities of football that Jurgen Klopp sees, which is why you'll have no one criticizing Bobby Firmino, how hard he works for the team, the fact that what he does. The obvious one for me is Mane, because Mane for me is more complete, because he works hard defensively. You can see him chasing back, working hard defensively, attacking, scoring goals. So they all complement each other. But fans are just fickle in terms of wanting perfection. And if they don't get perfection, and I say to Liverpool fans, what have you got to moan about? We won the European Champions League. We won the league. How many teams are not even in the Premier League? What about Sheffield United fans? What about Coventry fans? What about other fans who've never ever seen anything like this? But you feel you have a divine right to be winning every week. No, you don't.
True, yes.
But we say we're Liverpool. Every club wants their team to do well. And Liverpool has given Liverpool fans much more to shout about, never mind the history, but in the last 3 years than any other team in the world. So the fact that we're going through a bit of a blip now means that, you know, they should just keep supporting.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly my point.
Okay, John, over your career, which interesting stories can you share with us?
Well, you know, when I played, going out and getting drunk and misbehaving was a big part of it. So I can't there are lots of, if I was playing now, there are lots of boring stories that they have now. But in my day, I don't think it's, I could share those stories with you. Because unfortunately,
but I always wondered. I started watching football in the mid-90s. When I used to see, this is when Wenger started doing his thing, you know, came in, and you started seeing the training regimes teams started doing. And then I look at the past with your group.
I think what you're trying to say. I think what you're trying to say is I think you're trying to say Wenger messed it up for everybody. When Arsene Wenger came to football, he brought a much more professional atmosphere to football, where Tony Adams and all the Arsenal players used to be out drunk with us all the time. Stop drinking, stop going out, stop misbehaving. So therefore, we all had to do it, because you couldn't have Arsenal living a professional life and all the other teams going out and getting drunk and carrying on. So we all had to stop doing that. So a lot of people don't like Arsene Wenger because he messed it up for everyone.
It's brilliant. But John, Lee, do you have any other questions for John?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
John, so we basically just wanted to cover the current state of how it currently is with Liverpool, because like I said, and I think when I see that you have shared our view, it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Absolutely not. And you know what's going to happen? I can guarantee you this. When Liverpool start winning again and we may finish second or whatever, all of those players, those naysayers are talking about Liverpool, we have to get rid of him and no one's playing well. They're all going to be saying, yes, I knew it.
Yeah,
exactly. Compare with the fans, you'll see loads of them.
Yeah, and look, Lee and myself, we had to wait for, we didn't wait the whole 30 years, we waited about 25 years, because I started supporting 95, 96 side. And I can remember when I started supporting, I saw Liverpool was on 18 league titles. And the last one was 1990. And I told myself, look, that's only 7 years ago. I'm sure we win a couple before I'm 30. John, I'm not 35 and I only saw my first league title. So I appreciate what this squad has done.
You know, 90% of football fans have never seen a league title. So you're more privileged.
That's also true. Yes.
More privileged than them. So what have you
so that's what I so that's what I want to say. So a lot of fans need to realize that, look, this squad has given us 2 Champions League finals, back to back. 2 amazing title runs. And let's face it, Liverpool would have won a double that year if that Manchester City squad wasn't that amazing. We would have won a double that year and probably defend the title.
We did better that year when we finished second and won the Champions League in terms of the consistency of the way we played. We played better that year than the year we won the title. That was the year for me.
Yeah. And what's your thoughts on one last question? The cups, the FA Cups, the League Cup, those types of cups. Why don't we ever go as far, or is it just because of the small squad Jurgen Klopp uses, so he doesn't want to play all his top players in those cups?
The most important thing is winning football matches. It doesn't matter whether it's a cup, a league cup, a championship. Now, your bread and butter is the league. If you then say, let's go for an FA Cup, and you end up losing 3 league matches in a row because you think about the FA Cup, then you get knocked out of the FA Cup, you missed an opportunity. So you can't concentrate on cups, even the Champions League. Because if you forget about winning matches in the league to say, let's go for the Champions League, on a one-off, you can get knocked out. So what happens when you get knocked out of the Champions League and you're 7th in the league because you're concentrating on the Champions League? Then you say, let's try and do well in the league. You have to try and do well in every game. But to balance it out, what is priority? So the League Cup, you don't know, it's a long season ahead. Once you start getting into the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, you can then think, yes, let's play a strong team in terms of the players we're going to play. But in the early rounds, you give the kids a chance because they should be good enough to beat the lower division teams. FA Cup, yes, it's more important, so you play a stronger team, but the league is the most important thing. So if you talk about the league and the Champions League, you can't, if you happen to fight on all fronts coming into March, you have to be there. But you can't in September, October, say in every cup competition we play in, and the league, and the Champions League, and the League Cup, we're going to play our strongest team and go for it. Once you're getting into March and you're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, quarterfinals of the FA Cup, semi-finals of the League Cup or whatever, you can say, yes, let's make it a go at it. But early on, you then have to prioritize. And the priority first is the league, then the Champions League, then the FA Cup.
Brilliant. John, before we sign off, what's your prediction for the Chelsea game on Thursday?
2-1 to Liverpool.
Scorers?
Oh, no, I don't know about scorers. I know it's a real South African thing, isn't it? Because I remember on SuperSport, I used to say all the time, they say, what's the score going to be? I said, I haven't got a clue. And I don't. It could be 3-0, 4-1, 1-1, 1-1. Why do we as human beings think we have a sixth sense to know what the score is going to be or feel it's going to be? And more importantly, who's going to score the goal? I would say, I would say Salah probably. Please, he scores all the time, so that's not saying anything. Yeah. But then, of course, it could be fitted from a corner. So my prediction is a Liverpool win. That's all we need. Don't ask.
That's all we need, yes.
That's all we need, yes. John, thank you very much for coming on our channel and doing this. We really appreciate it. We will upload it and put it on Twitter. We'll tag you on Twitter. This has been absolutely a blast, and I still can't believe we're speaking to John because they say never meet your heroes, but I think for me and Lee, it's a pleasure to have met you, John.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, John.
And John,
if you want me to come on later on down the line, just drop me another email.
Well do.
Thank you. Well do,
awesome.
John. Well do, John. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, John.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers, John.
Bye.
Cheers.
Guys, please remember to hit that like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to our channel if you want more content like this. If you would like to see more guests like Don Barnes coming on to the LFC crew, this is the only way you can help us do it. Remember to share it with your friends, share it with your family. Thank you.